criminal justice, healing, education. Good morning, afternoon, evening, however and whenever you are watching. You guys should know me by now, but if you guys don't, my name is Holly Sisa. I'm the lovely host of this program we call Morning Mimosas, where we value human life, justice, healing, and educating for the Black and minority communities. And better yet, we actually remixed that to specifically say we empower the Black and minority communities through wellness, justice, and wisdom. Guys, today we have somebody that embodies pretty much a lot of those characteristics. And I am super duper excited to have her on the show. I've been trying to get somebody from this organization to come on Morning Mimosas for a long time. So it's absolutely awesome that she works for this organization, but she's also a martyr in her own individuality, right? But before we bring on this queen, guys, let's get out one commercial from our lovely partners here at Ganell's Crafts and Harley Hendricks.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening. It is Auntie Harley. I am the owner of Ganell's Crafts, where we make handmade crochet items from our family to yours. There are two ways that you can get a handmade item from Ganell's Crafts, and I'm going to tell you about them. The first way, and the easiest way, is to just pick from our available now inventory. We have items like this awesome floppy hat and other items that are available as is, ready for sale immediately. However, you might want something a little bit more custom, like this beautiful red dress. No problem, we got you. You would just fill out an order form, also located on our Instagram page, and we will complete your order. Something to note about a custom order is that custom orders are to be paid for in full before we get started, so we can get the materials for you and we can pay the laborer ahead of their labor. If you mention Morning Mimosas at the end of your checkout or at any point during your purchase, you get $10 off your total. So shout out to Holly for that continued partnership and support. If you want to place an order with Ganell's Crafts, we are open year round. There are only 2 months of the year where we do not take orders. July, because me, the owner, that's my birthday, and December, where we honor our fallen sister and the name of our company, Ganell Crafts. Other than that, order away. We are available now. Have a great day.
Once again, guys, that is Ganell's Crafts and Harley Hendricks. Please, please, please make sure that you guys are buying from her, guys. You guys, I've been promoting her business for quite some time, and I love, 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 love getting goodies from her. But guys, I've already, praised another queen. Let's welcome another one, as DJ Khaled would say, to the show. But guys, let's make sure we welcome her the proper way. You guys know how we do it. Oh my goodness. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It is such an honor to have you on. Guys, I want her to say her name, but I also want to say it because it's so beautiful. Niyankor. It's just just you see how that rolls off the tongue? Niyankor. It's just sexy. I love it. Welcome. Welcome to Morning Mimosas, Queen. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Oh, so happy.
Thank you so much for having me, Holly. Yes, my name is Niyankor. Also, the crochets, I need that red dress. Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Okay. Harley does her thing, right?
Like, oh my gosh. And she said that she be off in July because it's her birthday. My birthday's also in July. So I'm like, okay, let's go. Already a connection.
Yeah. Absolutely love it. Well, as you guys know, we care about the person, that is our guest for the show. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to ask her to just do a little introduction about herself and who she is.
Ooh, okay. This is always an interesting question. My name is Niyankor. I am the daughter of Cecilia Abuk, daughter of Nanuel. And I say my mother's names, my grandmother's names, because those are who I came from. We are very much so like a matriarchal family. And so I got to give reverence there first and foremost. I am a storyteller. I am a radical communicator. So I like to say, as far as like my job goes, I'm a Cancer, Pisces moon, Virgo rising, nature girly through and through. And I'm just really honored to be here today and really excited to unpack this conversation. Feeling kind of nervous. So yeah, like let me let me grab myself.
You're gonna do amazing. One of the things that we value here in Morning Mimosas is making sure people feel like family. So if you ever get nervous, just let me know. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. So we're going to start off with our first question. So we're going to start off with the power of our story. So you have worked closely with our story initiative. Why was it so vital for Black women and gender expansive individuals to archive their own truths rather than letting outside resources write them?
Mm. Ooh, this is such a juicy question. When it comes to our story and specifically Black women, and Black femmes to be able to be at the front line of that, I think it's because there's a lot of nuance to our experiences. Um, there is oftentimes, like, at least from my experience, um, just listening to, and I say, like, when I talk about like storytelling, I mean like throughout different mediums, whether that is through communications or like through the arts, film, um, anything of that sort. Like I feel like storytelling is very much so like an umbrella, and there's like different ways to tell stories. But specifically when it comes to the ways in which I experienced in the past, um, our stories being told, they weren't being told by us.
Right.
Um, they weren't, or they were being exploited. And so it's like, yeah, like you have Black women who are saying these stories, but the person essentially like producing the story or like directing the story or whatever is using it for their own gain. And I think that there's something very beautiful when we're able to collaborate, as Black women, as Black femmes, to be able to not only like create the platform to tell the story, but then also like share the story in a way that unpacks that nuance, and then also holds dignity. So yeah, that's what I would say as far as that.
Thank you so much for your response to that. So, from the research that I've done in the Here Black Women series,
Mm-hmm.
you use poetry to
Mm-hmm.
explore complex topics like reproductive justice. How
Mm-hmm.
does art help us communicate things that standard conversations sometimes can't reach?
Mm. Well, first and foremost, the Here Black Women series, such an amazing project. I want to shout out my good sis Bree, for just the idea and the creative direction. So it was a three-part series. The first one was a short documentary, which interviewed three Black women about their experiences navigating through abortion and reproductive justice. And then my part was like poetry, talking about like the reclamation of the Black woman body, and then the third one was a call to action when it comes to how do we hold lawmakers accountable. So that was just like an amazing, amazing, amazing project. I would say for the Here Black Women, um, like the poem, the Black Woman Body poem specifically. The way that I was approaching that project was um, how again like how do we like really like center dignity, and how do we also use art to transform and open up conversations around hard issues. um as an artist, I do believe that art is one of the ways and like a very important tool to be able to talk about like very hard conversations when it comes to issues. Because working in just like the nonprofit space, like social justice space, sometimes language is like, what are these big words that we're using? Like, what does this mean? Da 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 da. And so it's like, how do we like translate that to something real, like something that you could like actually feel in your body, and you could be able to like open up and be like, hey, like I don't know what reproductive justice means, but I do know that I want to reclaim my body. Like I do know that I want to have like autonomy over my body, over my choices and whatnot. And so like, what does that look like? But yeah, so I feel like for me, I've always thought like that art was like that middle language that can like translate and allow people to, because art makes you feel, as someone who creates it, as someone who experiences it, it does open you up in a way. And it's like, I don't really like, let me explore this more. Do I want to learn about this? Do I not want to learn about this? But it like makes you feel something. And so yeah, like it's a different language within itself. And I really felt honored to be able to even be considered for that project. And I thought it was like a beautiful way, especially like the way like the series happened.
That is absolutely awesome. And I'm glad that you were able to be a part of something so amazing because it just seems like you're just doing just amazing things with art and being able to translate that with justice. I'm not saying that's not an easy thing to do. So I'm glad that you're able to navigate through that. So my next question has to do with healing through creativity.
Ooh.
So your Yes, ma'am. So your work spans poetry, dance, and digital media. Do you find that different art forms allow you to tap into different parts of your own healing journey?
The short answer is yes. um yeah, I think when it comes to writing, um writing for me feels very much so meditative. um I think of my journal as my therapist. I think that's the best way to describe that. When it comes to movement, it's somatic. I'm somebody who struggles with being in my body. And so it's very important for me to do things that make me be in my body, whether that is dancing, whether it is like performative art, like whether it's exercise. Like I need to be in my body because I'm somebody who will literally like be like, bye. Like I disassociate a lot. And so that for me is very healing, to be able to just be grounded. And then when it comes to just like digital media and like multimedia and like exploring in that form, that's like my creative healing. For real, for real. Um, so yeah, I feel like they tap like it's just like taps different aspects of healing for me, and of grounding. And I think it's beautiful. because I'm able to have to be present in order to figure out like what kind of expression I'm looking for. Um, there was this person there's like a TED talk that I watched, and it was talking about like the eight. Ooh, I'm sorry. It was talking about like the different dimensions of rest. I don't know if you're familiar with the Nap Ministry and like Trisha Hershey and the amazing work that she does, but this person was just talking about like there are different ways in which you need to rest, and the ways in which I think about healing is very much so from like a rest perspective. Um, and so it's like you need to like there's like I don't want to butcher it. Y'all should look it up. But it's like how do you rest spiritually? Like how do you rest socially? Like how do you rest physically, mentally, emotionally? Um, and then I'm gonna forget the other three, so I'm not even gonna say it. But I feel like that's kind of how I approach my creative work too. Is like what are the different dimensions that I'm trying to tap into as I'm creating, and not only that, but also as like I'm experiencing, because art heals me too.
I thank you so much for sharing that. So we're going to go into the fourth question. We have three more questions to go. And this one pertains to the spirit of rest.
Oh,
Now, yes, so as you guys heard in the beginning, she works for the Soul to Soul Sisters here in Colorado, because I know I have my podcast is national, so that I have to make sure I mention that. So it is an organization here in Colorado that she works for, and they often emphasize that rest is a spiritual practice. As a multimedia artist and professional, how do you personally protect your peace and make room for rest?
mm, that is such a good question, and funny that like that was the next question as I'm talking about rest. Um, oh, I struggle with this. I do. I think right now the ways in which I'm prioritizing rest is by it's gonna sound crazy, but by saying yes. um, by like saying yes to surprises. I think what protects me um is whimsy. Like I'm a very whimsical person, and I think that sometimes in the work, especially like movement work, being in movement spaces, um trying to advocate for community, being met with like so much rigidness, it's very hard to be whimsical, to like hold on to the joy, to like be like, no, like the world is really a great place and it's not doom and gloom. And so I feel like I've been saying yes to surprises, and that's been helping me rest more. Um, because it's like, oh, so like an example that I can give, um, one of my friends was, and this is somebody, maybe friend is a stretch, and my friends, my real friends, they're gonna be like, this is your problem. Like, you be thinking everybody is a friend. um but it was a cool surprise because I was recently asked to um I'm trying to like say my words in a way that won't get me in trouble. Somebody asked me if I can come to a film premiere that was sold out. We didn't have no tickets. They were like, "You trying to come?" And I said, "Yes, let's go. Let's pull up." And I pulled up, and it was an event. And I don't know if you know about Boots Riley, but Boots Riley was there, and I got to meet Boots Riley, and I thought it was like so cool. He wrote Sorry to Bother You, and then the show I Am a Virgo. He has a new movie coming out called I Love Boosters. yet. We watched I Love Boosters. It was like a special premiere, but I feel like that's how I'm protecting my rest, by like feeding my spirit, like feeding my creativity, like feeding my whimsy, feeding like all the things that make me great.
I absolutely love that, and I don't blame you. We only live once, right? So, you know, you're not doing anything criminal. So that's all, that's all that
They
matters.
let us in.
Okay. No, I absolutely love that. So we're gonna move over to question number 5, which is the the ancestral connection.
Hmm.
Um, so I was born to Congolese parents, so I know a little bit. But the question pertaining to that is, you have been involved in traditional African dance and drumming assemblies. How does connecting with those ancestral rhythms feed into the work of the modern day liberation?
Ooh. The immediate answer is Sankofa, you know? Like we got to go back and get it. And for me, I have had the privilege of just being um sitting literally at the feet of many amazing elders in community. Shout out to Seneca, shout out to Doja Peju, who have they're the ones that literally like, nah, you know, like you gotta be rooted in terms of like your ancestry and your spirituality. It's interesting to me because I actually grew up a Jehovah's Witness. And so like for me, and not only that, but like migrated here when I was really young. And so I didn't really have a connection to, I would say, like my ancestors, my just like family outside of my mom and my sisters. And so I feel like that work has been very important in allowing me to like reclaim who I am and who I know to be. Um, and it's it continues to just like unpack every single day. But I will say when it comes to just like the dancing and the drumming, I want to be accountable and say, just in case, you know, I haven't been to dance in a while. I will hold myself accountable, okay? But I feel like it's just so much deeper. I don't know. The work is so much deeper than just like exploring the dance and exploring the drums. Um, and again, just like that unearthing and opening inside, which has led me to so many things. Whew.
Well, thank you for sharing that. We are on question number 6, which is going to go into defining restoration. When we talk about community restoration, we are often talking about more than just finances. What does a truly restored community in Denver look like to you?
That's a tough question.
It is.
It looks like collaboration. Um, yeah, it looks like collaboration. I think that it requires everybody to quote unquote have a seat at the table. I feel like everyone has different needs. And that's what I've learned more than anything in doing this work. Um, and some people's needs are immediate, you know, like it's like, no, I literally need food right now, or I need housing right now, or I need this thing right now. Like some things are very urgent, while other things are not so much urgent. Um, And so it's like, how do we hold space for those conversations? And how do we allow people to feel safe to name their urgent needs? Because a lot of people don't, because they feel like people don't care or don't know, or like there's like people are disconnected. And I think that there are different priorities when it comes to the city of Denver overall. Everything's just like so spread out, and
Yeah.
sometimes I wish it would like come together
Yeah.
um
Agreed.
to be able to like hold all those complexities, because there are people who are making decisions for people who aren't in the room, and I don't think that's okay. But then
Okay.
how do we get the people in the room, um and what does it require? um but I think that sometimes like being in community, I've been saying this a lot lately, it can be inconvenient. And so like, are you willing to
Okay.
be inconvenienced? And so that's the real question. Like, are you willing to go, like pick up that person that you feel like needs to be in the room? Are you willing to listen? Um, are we willing to wait? Are we willing to hurry up? So it's a very complicated question.
That's interesting that you mentioned that because my last question for you is pertaining to the creative call to action. So, for the listeners who want to support social change but don't feel like activists, how can
Mm,
they use their own unique creative gifts to help the movement?
I love this question. Um, because it is unique. And I almost think that in movement spaces and like social justice and like social change spaces, the narrative is that you have to be at the front lines and you have to like go and you have to protest and you have to put your body on the
Mm,
line and you have to do all this stuff, and it's like that's not true. That is
not
literally
true at
not
all.
true. I for me think that the uniqueness comes from like who you are and what you are willing to bring, whether that is through your art, and that could look like whatever, like music, dancing. It could, whether or not you want to like, like go feed your community, like that's literally you're doing social change work there. Whether you want to read, knowledge is power, like read, you could read, like you could research, you could do so many things, like, and it's not just about like being on the front lines and like putting your body in a line. Like there's so many things. I think it's more so like for me, like I think like social justice and like social change and like movement is a value. And so it's like, how do you break down that value and like what are you willing to like contribute from that?
And you guys heard that here. That's why I made sure that that was the last question because a lot of people don't know where to start when it
Yeah.
comes to activism. They're like, oh, they just like you said, they think they have to protest, they have to march. I don't, I don't go to protest or march, but I do my detective work from home. You know, when I'm trying to solve these cases. So you can definitely do things at your capacity for sure. So I thank you so much for giving your opinion on that last one because that is very much valid. Guys, we have a special treat from this queen today. She's going to read us a poem. Guys, I love poetry. Ooh, honey, I used to get published in poetry books when I was a kid, honey. I love poetry. So I need y'all to just, whatever you're doing, just mute something. Let's take the time and listen to this amazing poem that we're about to take a listen to today.
You are
The floor
so
is all yours.
so generous. Thank you. Yeah, this is a poem that I wrote. I visited South Sudan. That's where I'm from. my family, and it was the end of 2023, I think. 2023, 2024, I don't know. But I went to South Sudan, and this was at the intersection of what was happening with Palestine. And so this poem is called Home. I haven't slept since I've returned home. Away from home, I slept and rested in my room, a chair near the Nile, my sister's lap, my mother's bosom, even as daddy drove on unpaved roads. I slept and rested. And right now, I want nothing more than to kiki with my cousin Lily about dogs and traveling. I haven't slept since I've returned home. Away from home, I slept and rested in love, in safety, in communion. The irony of being in danger, yet that being the safest I've ever been. That's home.
Absolutely beautiful.
Thank
Whew.
you.
Absolutely beautiful. Guys, I have nothing else. After a beautiful poem like that, we're gonna go ahead and thank our wonderful, wonderful guest, Niyankor, for coming on Morning Mimosas. Guys, we're definitely gonna bring her back. She has been nothing but a beautiful insight. So once again, thank you, Queen, for being on Morning Mimosas today. Guys,
Thank
we're
you.
going to get out. We're going to get out of here. We're finally having a decent day here in Colorado as far as weather wise. So we're gonna go get out here and enjoy ourselves. Guys, this is Morning Mimosas, where we value human life, justice, healing, and educating for the Black and minority communities, or as we have remixed it, empowering the Black and minority communities through justice, wellness, and wisdom. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.